Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of the 200B Datsun engine conversion. So if you didn't watch last week's video, if you missed it, I'll chuck a link up here. But basically this is my mate's 200B Datsun, and he was looking for a little bit more reliability, a little bit of EFI reliability, say. So I am SR20 converting it for him. So anyway, today's video, you're in for a bit of fab. Because I am diving into some headers. So I'm going to run through the process of what I do while I'm making them. As you can see, I've got one taped and tacked up. So these are just polished bends from Ben Brothers. They are 304 stainless, polished inside and out, and they are very good quality. So if you're looking for good quality polished bends, these Ben Brothers bends are excellent. Highly recommend. So this collector here, this is just an eBay collector. It's actually polished stainless, so it matches the pipes and everything. I've mounted that collector to the block, so you can kind of see I've mounted a bit of plate down there, and then I've welded a rod between that, so that's square mounted onto the gearbox as well. I've mounted that to the collector, so I've got a V-band welded on the bottom there. So that collector and everything there is in one position, because in a minute I'm going to pull this engine out. And I'm going to finish making this probably on the bench, perhaps. So pipe-wise, so I've gone with 1 3/4 inch. So the collector there is obviously 4 1 3/4 inch into 3 inch. 3 inch is a bit big for this exhaust, being non-turbo. It doesn't need to be 3 inch. So it is going to step back down to 2.5 inch. So it's going to come through the collector through a bend. I've probably a flex at the front there, then it'll go down to 2.5. I'll work that out as I go. So yeah, 1 3/4 inch primaries on this. Plenty big enough. This is non-turbo, it's not a race car. It's going to be oodles for what this car needs. So if it was a K24, 1 3/4 might be a bit small, because you got a bit more, literage that you're trying to remove the gases from. So, but yeah, in this case, not a race car, stock SR20, 1 3/4 inch has definitely it's plenty big enough, and it's got room to grow for a little bit. So cams, etc. in the future, no problems. From here, what I've done is we've got a stainless head flange, and I've just milled out some sections in it so that the pipe actually sits in position, like so. Not only does it help with me while I'm making it, while I'm welding bits up and stuff, but yeah, it's easier to have that so that the pipe always sort of sits in its right spot, sort of thing. You know that it's center on the porthole, and it's just going to be in the right spot all the time, no matter what. So obviously I'm making everything out of stainless here. If you're making something like this at home, it is very important to not contaminate the welds. So like I said, these bends are obviously polished. So what I'm probably planning to do is just weld them, and I'll leave the welds raw, sort of thing, at the end. And if you're going to do that, the welds have to be very, very, very clean, otherwise they'll rust. You can acid clean them and stuff if you were to do that. Probably, like I said, these bends being polished, it's probably not ideal. It's hard to say. So if you were to do this, and you were to clean the welds, probably what you would do is take the shine off of these. Maybe that would probably be the best look, sort of thing. But yeah, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these suckers out and leave the welds raw, sort of thing. So I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be honest. I don't like the look of it. I like clean welds. So I'll sort of dive into that a bit afterwards. I might clean one weld up, I might do a test weld on something and clean it, just see what it looks like, because normally you get a dull section out of it if you acid it or something. So what was I going into? All right, so contamination. So anything like this, you definitely do not want to be using anything that you've used mild steel with. So fresh grinding discs aren't ideal here, right? But I don't have the lathe up and running yet. Ideally, I'd use the lathe and I'd part off all the straight bits that I need. And then you've got square, dead perfect faces to weld to. Like I said, I haven't got the lathe up and running yet, so I've got too much on my plate at the moment to sort that out. But I will be running soon, so I'm stuck with the old-fashioned grinder and just a cut-off saw. So The grinding wheels and discs that you use, they should be like the stainless steel variety, like the ones that you can use on stainless, because they'll have different materials that they're made out of probably, so that you don't get that cross-contamination from mild steel sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else I can say. Just keep your welds clean, basically, if you're going to try and do this. Otherwise, you'll end up with rusty welds coming through in the end. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to try and make equal length headers. I think it's possible in this case. Obviously equal length within a few mil. It's not going to be like millimeter perfect probably. They are a pain to measure. So if you're measuring a bend like this, ideally this is the length that you want to measure through here, like middle of the radius probably. The easiest way is to measure the outside of the radius. Measuring the outside of the radius is okay if you're only comparing bends to bends and you're not comparing bends to straight. So this like radius line here sort of thing, that is still going to be a different length to say like this is 110 mil, I think I measured at, and 110 mil of straight is going to have a higher volume than that. But in saying that, it's pretty close. Like I said, I'm going to have it within a few mil. If you want to get them close sort of thing, like as close as you possibly can if you were to do this yourself, and then when you pull off each runner to weld it, you could fill it up with water and measure the water in them. Am I going to do that? I don't know. Maybe. I'll see how I go. I'll see how close I get them. So something like this, obviously it is going into a single collector as well, so it's yeah, it's like I said, I've done 8-to-1 headers before on like B2, and that's the same sort of thing. That whole engine is firing into that single collector. And so the idea of doing equal length is that you get like a Venturi system sort of thing. So exhaust gas, the engine will fire, the exhaust gas will go through one and it'll start pulling through the other cylinders as well, sort of thing. So yeah, I'm no expert on that, but that's essentially how it works. So now we're going to dive into a bit more of this. Pretty much what the plan is here, the front runner is going to be the longest distance that it has to cover, say. So I need to try and make that pipe as short as possible. So that's why I've kind of cut the distance there, sort of thing, diagonally straight across. I've come up like this because I want that nice like runner look at the end, sort of thing. So I've come up with it, and then yeah, like I said, just diagonally straight across and in. I mean, if you're going for all looks on this, this would probably come up and then have a nice like even curve back down sort of thing to that. But like I said, I want this runner as short as possible because as you can imagine, by the time I get to the fourth cylinder here, this runner is going to have to come up really high to come back down. And it's kind of going to come out in this direction and back in because I need to get that one as long as I possibly can. Like I said, I don't know exactly if it's going to be perfect equal length. I'm going to have to like wait and see how it goes, sort of thing. I'm going to get it, like I said, pretty close. This one here is already pretty long. So I've used 175 mil of straight here, 200 mil of straight there, 30 mil of straight there. So I've got 1, 2, 3 90-degree bends and 2 45s. So loosely, if I'm working things out, I can go, if I aim to get 3 90s and 2 45s in each runner and at least 375 mil of straight, or what's that, 405 mil of straight, then that will work out to roughly the same length sort of thing between them all. So yeah, like I said, this is my day job. I don't do this every day, so I can still say that I can do it though. I think they will turn out pretty good in the end, but time will tell. So this is one of those things as well, once again, where fit up has to be perfect. If you're making something like this at home, these faces, like where you weld them together like this, they have to be perfect. There can be no like variance. They can't be a bad cut that you're trying to weld to. The same thing that I went over in the turbo manifold thing. Yeah, if you've got a tiny gap here and you've welded all of that together, by the time you get down here, like you pull it off, you weld it, you put it back on, it's going to pull 10, 15 mil at the bottom probably. Like half a mil at the top is going to work out to a mile at the bottom. So just be very cautious of that. This, once again, as I'm going through, I'm kind of just tacking a few spots around each joint sort of thing. the key here as well is when you're tacking something, right? Say I'm just going to tack this together, right? These two pipes. You want to tack them really cold, like very, very cold as possible, because if you tack them too hot, you'll get the little dingleberries, the little bits on the inside of the pipe, basically. And the key is to not do that while you're tacking it, because I'm going to purge this and I'm going to weld it out. It'll turn out pretty good, I'm just going to say. But yeah, you don't want to basically weld too hot and it'll melt the steel on the inside. You're not aiming to do that yet. You're aiming to do that when you weld it, when you fully weld it out, sort of thing. And when it's being purged, if you're going to purge it, you can get away with not purging it realistically, unless it's like big horsepower stuff. Big horsepower, it's non-turbo. Big horsepower and you're looking for perfect flow and everything, then it's really going to matter. Like I said, in this case, I'm going to do it because the welds will turn out nicer. Having that gas on the inside allows you to weld it a little bit warmer and prevents obviously blowing out and looking like shit on the inside. So, all right, let's dive into a time lapse of me cutting and grinding and welding on this for about the next 2 days, I reckon. So, yep, let's do it. I'm halfway. So yeah, basically I'm at the point where I know clearances on everything. So I've pulled the engine out of the car and I'm going to finish the rest off on the ground. I am equal length currently. So pretty much, as I said at the start, the same amount of bends in every one. So I've gone with 3 90-degree bends and 2 45s and 410 mil of straight, like 1 3/4 tube in this case. So you can kind of see how each pipe steps up a bit. That's to get the extra length. So this next one is going to end up probably somewhere up about here. And then the last one is probably going to end up somewhere up here. Like I said, that is just to get the equal length for each runner. So yeah, like I said, you can imagine this front one here, this has no straight in here. This one has 30 mil of straight, I reckon. This next one, I'm probably going to end up with about 75 mil of straight there. And then this last one would probably be about 100 and maybe 150 mil of straight here. Yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to get that equal length, and it is really time consuming doing this. It's the same as making a turbo manifold. This is probably a little harder, but I think I actually enjoy this probably a little bit more. So yeah, like I said, if you're like, say, a bit of straight, a bend, and then a straight, right? And then you go 2 90s, so 180 degrees, and then another straight. and then you can work this piece out, this last little bit. But say you do all that and then you get down here and you're 10 mil short or you're 20 mil short, then you've got to come back and probably add some into these pieces. So then cut these bits longer, and then that will change the pipe work down here, how it's angled and everything to go in. So yeah, very time consuming, but it's good fun. I enjoy it. If you're doing this at home, make sure you have plenty of extra straight, probably. I'm pretty seasoned in it, so I've done it a few times. I know I'm pretty good at guessing this stuff, actually. But if you're doing it for your first time, you definitely want to go and have a bit extra straight, because you cut something at 75 mil long and you go, that needs to be 85. You can just add 10 mil on. It might not look the best, but you're better off just cut another piece at 85 and then try that, and then so on and so forth. So yeah, like I said, it can be a bit heavy on the material if it is your first time and you're learning and teaching yourself. So anyway, I'm going to keep on trucking here. well and truly stoked with how they came out. Well and truly. They just look so Possibly the only thing that lets them down is the this collector's not quite square sort of thing. So you can see, yeah, it's just a little it opens up a little bit on all of the pipes, but pretty happy, definitely. It's yeah, it's a cool looking piece, that's for sure. So over the next week, I think I'm just going to slowly chip away at this one. I need to take my time welding this out. So like I said, I'm going to purge it all and take one off at a time. So what I'm actually going to do is take the whole header off, tape up the front face, bolt it back on. I'll plug this in basically, and then I'll gas it out. And then I'll go around and I'll weld half of each pipe. One section on one side, one section on the other side on all of them. So when I pull them out and weld them, they don't pull. So at the moment they're held obviously in this jig. They can't really move. Yeah, so when I weld it, I want to make sure that doesn't, the pipes don't pull at all sort of thing. So I'm going to weld 50% of the join sort of thing, in position here with it still bolted to the engine. It is going to be very time consuming. So yeah, like I said, over the next week or so, I'm going to do that, chip away at it as I get time to do it. I've got a bit on the go at the moment. So what's today? Yep, the next couple of weeks, I've got to dive into obviously stripping this bad boy down, and the head is going to the machine shop. So while that is at the machine shop, I'll get the headers all welded up. But yeah, did you enjoy that? What'd you think of it? I thoroughly enjoy stuff like this. There's plenty of room. You're not fighting with chassis rails and strut towers, and there's loads of room in there. So it is very enjoyable. Like I said, I got these runners all schmicko. So in the end, this back one was actually 5mm longer. So I ended up shortening that 5mm, and it actually worked out primo. So I was very stoked on it. So I added them all up, and yeah, they're all the same bends, all the same amount of straight. I made sure this is what all of my working out is as I was going, making sure that everything was spot on, equal length wise. So very, very time consuming. It would easily double the time of the investing in it to make them equal length. But yeah, performance gains wise, I don't know. On a standard SR, I'm honestly not sure, but it's cool, and I'm pumped. I like making cool things, so definitely excited for this. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, if you like watching this, make sure you hit the like button, leave us a comment. Do you enjoy, I try not to do it as much, but does everyone get around the time lapses? I just, like I said, sometimes I really just need to knuckle down and concentrate on what I'm doing. Obviously I'm a one-man band, so yeah, just need to sometimes put my headphones in and just sit back and actually get some work done. But that's why the time lapses happen. But hope everyone's enjoying the videos. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.